Welcome to the deep dive.
Oh,
Okay, so if you're a federal employee and you're recovering from an injury, maybe it's a bad back, maybe carpal tunnel.
right.
The frustration isn't just the physical part. It's when you need something like a standing desk or a really specific ergonomic chair.
And suddenly you're facing this bureaucratic wall. Two huge systems, basically.
Exactly. The government seems to make you choose between these two, massive, complicated rule books just to get something simple paid for.
It really is an unnecessary headache, and you, the listener, you're often caught right in the middle, aren't you? You've got the Department of Labor's Workers' Comp System, OWCP.
That's the money side.
That's the medical funding side, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got your own agency's Reasonable Accommodation process, the RA process.
Which is about your rights at work.
Precisely. It handles your workplace rights, getting the equipment in place.
So our mission today, let's keep it simple. We want to cut through that bottleneck.
Let's do it.
We're going to unpack these two parallel systems. We'll define what each one actually does.
And importantly, give you a clear step-by-step roadmap, like 6 steps maybe.
Yeah, a strategic plan for coordinating them. So if you follow this, hopefully you get the gear you need for recovery and, stay productive faster.
We'll start by really nailing down the difference between the two paths. Then we'll walk through the kind of paperwork your doctor needs to provide. That specific language is key.
Oh, definitely. And then we'll look at some real-world examples, like we have a mail handler, an IRS clerk.
And a DOJ agent, yeah, to see how this coordination actually works in practice.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's assume, our listener has an accepted OWCP injury. They need this specific piece of equipment. Maybe it costs, what, $2,000?
Yeah, it could be. A good chair or desk isn't cheap.
So why can't they just walk into HR and say, look, I have an accepted work injury, give me the accommodation? Why even bother with, the slow OWCP system?
Yeah.
Isn't RA a legal right anyway?
That's really the core strategic question, isn't it? And the answer, well, it comes down to jurisdiction. Think of it like 2 separate buckets of money.
Okay. And 2 separate legal duties. OWCP, that's operating under FECA, the Federal Employees Compensation Act. It's the federal workers' comp system.
Strictly the money.
Strictly the medical funding payer. It's like the insurance company, basically.
Got it. So OWCP is the insurer.
Exactly. And they cover durable medical equipment, DME, like ergonomic furniture. But, and this is crucial, only if it's explicitly prescribed by a doctor.
As treatment.
As providing a therapeutic benefit. That's the key phrase. It has to be likely to, cure, give relief, or at least reduce the disability from your accepted injury. It's purely a medical necessity test.
Okay, OWCP pays the bill. If the doctor makes the case, it's basically medicine. So what's the agency's job then, under reasonable accommodation?
Right. That's your workplace rights piece. That's handled by your HR department, maybe a disability program manager. It falls under the Rehabilitation Act.
Which is like the ADA for federal employees. Pretty much, yeah. It focuses on the workplace implementation. So the legal duty here is different. It's about providing accommodations, could be equipment, could be a schedule change, maybe even reassignment.
If you have a medical condition that substantially limits you.
Exactly. To help you perform your essential job duties. Unless, of course, it causes the agency undue hardship, which is a high bar.
And here's the kicker, right?
Yeah.
The two aren't mutually exclusive.
Not at all. That's so important. The agency can't just wash its hands of its duty and say, oh, you've got an OWCP claim, go bother them.
Even if OWCP is paying wage loss benefits.
Doesn't matter. The agency's legal obligation under the Rehab Act remains. They handle the, can we legally put this chair at your desk and let you use it part.
While OWCP handles the, is this medically needed and who's footing the bill part.
You got it. 2 separate but related tracks.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Because using both systems at the same time, that's how you win, right? That's how you get things done faster.
Absolutely. Coordinating them is key.
So let's map out those steps. How do you coordinate these two giants and actually get that equipment approved without, waiting 6 months?
Okay, step 1, and this one's, well, it's non-negotiable. Your injury has to be properly reported.
CA1 for trauma, CA2 for occupational illness.
Right. And that OWCP claim must be accepted. If you don't have an accepted claim yet, forget OWCP funding for now. It's all on the RA process or, your own pocket or insurance.
So get that claim accepted first. Priority number 1.
Absolutely. Once that's done, then we move to step 2. This is about arming your doctor.
Right. It's not enough to just scribble needs desk on a prescription pad.
Oh, definitely not. This is where things often stall, I find. Step 2 is getting detailed medical documentation, a specific letter of medical necessity.
What does detailed mean here?
It means the doctor has to describe the exact equipment, not just ergonomic chair, maybe high back ergonomic chair with adjustable lumbar stabilization and gel armrests. Be specific.
And link it to the injury.
Crucially, they have to explain how that specific chair will directly treat or alleviate the accepted work-related condition. For example, this chair is necessary to relieve the chronic sciatic nerve compression caused by the accepted L4-L5 herniation. That kind of linking language. That's gold for the OWCP examiner.
Okay, that detailed justification feeds directly into step 3 then, which is actually asking OWCP for the money.
Correct. Requesting OWCP authorization. For any DME durable medical equipment that costs more than, say, $500 or $1,000, the threshold varies slightly. You typically need prior authorization.
And the claims examiner uses that doctor's letter.
Exactly. They review that letter of medical necessity to justify the cost. And they are thinking about cost effectiveness, too.
How so?
Well, if the doctor says the need seems short-term, maybe just 90 days while you recover from surgery.
They might just rent it.
OWCP will likely authorize a rental first. But if the doctor makes a strong case for a long-term, foreseeable need, maybe a permanent condition,
Then buying makes more sense.
then they prefer to purchase it outright. It saves money compared to renting month after month.
Okay, but waiting for OWCP to review and approve a, $2,000 purchase, that can still take time. Which brings us to the parallel move, step 4.
Yes. Don't wait for OWCP's decision before acting on the RA front. Initiate the reasonable accommodation process simultaneously.
How do you do that? Just talk to your boss.
You can, but it's better to have a paper trail. A simple email to your supervisor or the agency's RA coordinator, something like, I am formally requesting a reasonable accommodation for my accepted medical condition per the Rehabilitation Act. Medical documentation is attached.
And that starts the clock ticking on the agency side.
Yes, that email is enough to trigger the interactive process under the Rehab Act. Even while OWCP is figuring out payment, the agency has a duty to engage with you on the accommodation itself.
And this can sometimes get you quicker results, right? Especially for simpler stuff.
Definitely. Sometimes, for less expensive items, or if they have something suitable in stock, the agency might provide an interim solution really quickly through the RA process.
Okay, now step 5. This is the coordination piece, where the magic happens, you said.
Well, maybe not magic, but where efficiency happens. Communication is absolutely key here. Meaning you tell the OWCP claims examiner that you've also submitted an RA request to your agency, and you tell your agency's RA coordinator that OWCP is reviewing the medical necessity and funding.
Keep everyone in the loop.
Exactly. This dual awareness prevents duplication of effort. It stops the finger pointing. Sometimes this coordination leads to the agency buying the equipment as an RA.
And then getting reimbursed by OWCP.
Right, using that form OWCP 915. Or OWCP might just pay the vendor directly once approved. Either way, coordination smooths the path.
Makes sense. And finally, step 6, follow-up and documentation. Why is this needed after you get the equipment?
It's about justifying the ongoing need, primarily for OWCP if they started with a rental.
Ah, right. If they only rented it for 90 days.
Your doctor needs to provide a follow-up report. Something saying, yes, the equipment is providing therapeutic benefit, it's still medically necessary. That justifies OWCP switching from renting to buying it permanently.
And protects you later, too.
Absolutely. Keep notes on how it helps. This documentation protects you if, say, you get a new supervisor down the line who questions why you have this non-standard government chair at your workstation. Proof of ongoing need is vital.
This raises a really important point, though. How does this strategy shift if you're dealing with something temporary versus, a permanent impairment?
That's a great question. The approach does adapt.
So let's break that down.
Yeah.
Say I just had knee surgery, expect to be better in 6 months. That's different from having, permanent degenerative disc disease, right?
Totally different scenarios, yes. For those temporary injuries where full recovery is expected relatively quickly.
Like the knee surgery example.
Right. The focus is really on practicality and speed. OWCP in that case is almost certainly going to authorize a rental for a limited time. Maybe that initial 90 days, maybe up to 6 months.
And the agency's RA process.
Often handled more informally for temporary stuff. The agency might quickly find you a loaner chair or a temporary setup. The goal is just getting you through that short recovery period and back to regular duty. They might not even dig too deep into whether it meets the formal, substantially limiting definition for a long-term disability.
Okay, quick and practical for temporary needs. But what if it is a permanent condition, like that degenerative back problem?
Then things become more formal, legally speaking. If the medical documentation shows the impairment is long-term, chronic, and it substantially limits you.
Then OWCP is more likely to buy instead of rent.
Exactly. If it's medically necessary for the foreseeable future, OWCP will typically authorize the purchase. Saves money long-term. And once OWCP buys that non-personal item, like a specialized chair, it essentially becomes dedicated to your use for that job.
And the agency's role with OWCP.
It becomes a more formal, documented, permanent adjustment to your job or workstation. And crucially, the agency's duty to provide that reasonable accommodation remains throughout your career with them, even if the OWCP claim eventually closes years later.
Wow. Okay, so that distinction, rent versus buy, temporary versus permanent, it really hinges on what your doctor writes down.
Precisely. The medical justification drives the whole process.
Let's make this concrete. Let's look at those specific cases you mentioned to see how this dual-track system actually plays out. We've got 3 scenarios.
Yes. First up is John. He's a USPS mail handler. Developed a herniated disc lifting mail tubs. Classic scenario.
What do you need?
His doctor prescribed 2 things: a high-back ergonomic chair and a sit-stand desk.
Okay, so how did OWCP handle that?
Well, OWCP, being the pair, looked at the cost and maybe the initial uncertainty of his prognosis.
Okay.
So they authorized the purchase of the chair pretty quickly. Chairs are relatively less expensive. They saw that as essential.
But the sit-stand desk,
Yeah.
those can be pricey.
Right. So for the desk, OWCP initially authorized a rental for 90 days. A trial period, basically, to see if his condition stabilized and if the desk really provided that therapeutic benefit long term.
So John had to wait 90 days for the desk.
But here's a coordination part. While OWCP was setting up the desk rental, John had also initiated the RA process with USPS.
That move.
Very. The USPS RA coordinator acted quickly. As an interim accommodation, they found him an adjustable drafting chair they had in local inventory, something he could use right away while waiting.
Okay, so RA bridged the gap. What happened after 90 days?
John's doctor submitted a follow-up report, stated clearly that the sit-stand desk was dramatically improving his pain levels, reducing the need for medication, and was medically necessary long-term.
So OWCP then approved the purchase.
Correct. OWCP converted the rental to a purchase, and the USPS RA committee then handled the final installation and making sure it worked with his workstation setup. Perfect tandem operation.
That's a great example. RA provided the immediate bridge and logistics. OWCP provided long-term funding based on medical need. Okay, scenario 2. Lisa, an IRS clerk.
Lisa developed severe carpal tunnel syndrome, lots of data entry. Her needs were maybe smaller items, but highly specialized.
Like what?
An ergonomic keyboard, a specific type of vertical mouse, maybe an adjustable keyboard tray, and also a high-end chair.
How did that go? Any hitches?
Yes, actually. This case highlights the importance of specific documentation. Initially, OWCP denied the keyboard and mouse.
Why?
Their reason was that these were just standard office accessories, not actual medical treatment. The doctor's first note was probably too vague, just saying ergonomic keyboard needed.
So how did Lisa fix that?
Her doctor had to rewrite the letter of medical necessity. This time it was much more specific. It clearly linked the split design keyboard and the vertical mouse directly to her accepted carpal tunnel syndrome.
Not just for comfort.
No, the key was framing it as a treatment plan, arguing these specific designs were necessary to prevent worsening of the nerve compression and potentially avoid future surgery. That clear medical rationale, linking the specific item to treating the accepted condition, that satisfied OWCP.
And what did the IRS do in the meantime? Through RA.
While OWCP was reconsidering, the IRS RA coordinator knew Lisa needed help to keep working. So they quickly provided some basic ergonomic items they had in their supply closet, maybe a standard ergo keyboard, a wrist rest, a quick RA fix to tide her over until the specialized OWCP-approved items arrived.
That really shows the agency's separate duty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even if OWCP initially says no, the agency still has to engage and try to accommodate.
Absolutely. Okay, final case. Mike, a DOJ agent.
What was his situation?
Mike was recovering from knee surgery. He had a temporary light-duty assignment for about 6 months. Needed to alternate between sitting and standing.
So a sit-stand solution.
Yes, but specifically, he needed a sit-stand desk converter, one of those units that sits on top of an existing desk, and a tall stool to use with it.
Temporary need related to the surgery recovery. How did OWCP handle the converter?
Because the converter itself was relatively inexpensive compared to buying a whole new desk, OWCP actually approved the purchase pretty quickly. It was likely below the cost threshold where they'd insist on a rental analysis first.
So speed was good there. What about the agency, DOJ? What was their role?
DOJ's RA process handled the physical logistics and, importantly, the integration. They made sure the converter Mike chose was compatible with his secure government computer system.
Security considerations.
Right. And they handled the safety aspects, the proper setup, likely through their IT or facilities department. It shows how the RA process isn't just about approval. It facilitates the actual physical installation and ensures OWCP-funded items comply with agency rules and safety standards.
These examples really clarify how the two systems should work together. So whether it's temporary or permanent, the real key seems to be getting good support, right? Someone who knows how to navigate both tracks.
Absolutely. Leveraging experts and knowing how to avoid the common pitfalls, that's crucial.
Let's talk about that specialized support. What does it look like?
It could be a medical clinic that specifically deals with federal workers' comp injuries, or just a really knowledgeable physician who understands the system. Their value comes in two main areas. First, documentation mastery.
Getting the magic words right?
Pretty much. They know the specific vocabulary, the objective medical rationale needed to satisfy both the OWCP claims examiner and the agency's RA coordinator. They don't just say chair for back pain. They link the CPT codes, the diagnostic findings, the functional limitations directly to the specific requested item's therapeutic benefit. That difference in language. That can be the difference between a 3-week approval and a 3-month denial and appeal cycle.
Okay, documentation's function one. What's the second?
Navigation. They often help with actually submitting the prior authorization request directly to OWCP's portal, or they can advise you, the employee, on exactly how to phrase your RA request to the agency. They sort of act as a case manager for the medical justification piece.
What about those pitfalls? What if, despite best efforts, OWCP denies payment, or the agency denies the RA request?
Okay, if OWCP denies payment, remember, it's almost always due to insufficient medical explanation, not because they disagree you need help.
So don't give up.
Definitely not. You request reconsideration. You go back to the doctor, get a stronger, more detailed letter addressing exactly why OWCP denied it, clearly linking the item to the therapeutic benefit for the accepted condition. Reconsiderations are often successful with better paperwork.
And if the agency denies the reasonable accommodation request itself?
They must provide you with a written explanation detailing the specific reason for the denial.
What's the only real legal reason they can deny necessary ergonomic equipment?
The legal standard is undue hardship. But let's be realistic. For standard ergonomic equipment, we're talking a specialized mouse, a chair, a keyboard tray, a desk converter claiming that $500 or $2,000 item causes undue economic hardship for a federal agency. That's almost never a legitimate argument.
So undue hardship usually means something else.
It usually relates to things like fundamental alteration of the job, safety concerns, or maybe security protocols. Like if the needed accommodation physically won't fit in a required secure facility, a SCIF for example, but if they deny your $1,000 ergonomic chair purely based on cost,
You probably have grounds to challenge it.
you likely have very strong grounds for an EEO complaint based on disability discrimination under the Rehabilitation Act. Frankly, agencies usually recognize that keeping an injured, experienced employee productive far outweighs the minor cost of some ergonomic gear. Denials for standard equipment are rare if the medical need is properly documented.
That's a really powerful point. It provides a significant legal backstop for you, the listener. Okay, let's pull this all together. What are the main takeaways from this deep dive?
I think there are 4 core things to remember for coordinating these systems.
Okay, number 1.
1. OWCP pays for medical necessity. You must have medical documentation proving the equipment provides a therapeutic benefit for the accepted work injury. 2. Reasonable accommodation ensures workplace implementation. It's your separate legal right under the Rehab Act to get the tools you need to perform your job, provided you have a qualifying disability.
3.
3. Be crystal clear, or have your doctor be clear, about temporary versus permanent need. That distinction directly impacts whether OWCP will rent or purchase the equipment.
And the last one? 4.
4. Document everything meticulously. Use specific medical rationale, and critically, communicate and coordinate between OWCP and your agency's RA process. Start both tracks simultaneously.
Got it. OWCP for medical pay, RA for workplace rights, clarify temporary versus permanent, document and coordinate.
That's the essence of the strategy. And maybe one final thought for you to carry forward, something really important.
Okay, leave us with something provocative.
Remember where the agency's duty comes from. The duty to provide a reasonable accommodation flows directly from federal disability law, the Rehabilitation Act.
Not from OWCP rules.
Exactly. Therefore, even if OWCP ultimately denies payment for a piece of equipment, maybe they decide it doesn't meet their specific definition of durable medical equipment, your agency still has that independent legal obligation to provide the accommodation if you remain substantially limited by your medical condition and need it to do your job.
Even if the OWCP claim closes entirely.
Even if your OWCP claim closes years down the line, if you still work there, still have the limitation, and still need the accommodation to perform your essential functions, the agency's duty under the Rehab Act continues. Knowing that legal firewall exists is absolutely essential for your long-term career security and safety.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Don't assume an OWCP denial ends the conversation. Use this knowledge, use these strategies to empower your recovery and your career. You don't have to choose between healing and working. The system, complex as it is designed to support both if you know how to navigate it. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.